along the lines of 16th and Island that some of you have probably seen. We should probably just let them move into those empty houses and, you know, live in them, fix them up or whatever.
Hi, my name's Chase Fight. As the gentleman from Azerbaijan talked about freedom and human rights, so do the human rights still apply to the homeless? In regards to Occupy San Diego, we had tents that allowed for support services to the homeless that got taken down by the police. I would like to put on the agenda, hopefully, that you just allow us to have 4 major tents. One for food, and the second one for first aid, a third one for distribution of blankets and clothing, and a fourth one for media, so they would be able to get within the housing job market via the use of the internet, that we would have access there. It's just 4 little tents, a minor reform.
We've got about 10 seconds
enough to allow us to do it. It's not allowing us to have like a whole campment again.
All right. Thank you very much for your comments today.
Jeannie Crescenzo, followed by Stephen Greenwald, followed by Martin Eder.
Good morning.
I stand before you representing the members of Activist San Diego, of which I am the president, to insist that the City Council of San Diego follow in the example of the City Council of Los Angeles in passing a resolution in support of Occupy San Diego. I provided you with copies of the LA resolution. In accordance with our rights, clearly defined in the First Amendment, that prohibit the making of any law abridging freedom of speech, interfering with the right to peaceably assemble, or prohibiting the petitioning for a governmental redress of grievances, the participants of Occupy San Diego are clearly acting within their rights, and the City Council has an obligation to defend these rights before all other interests, including perceived economic consequences to local business. As representatives and citizens of the city, you swore to uphold and defend our Constitution, and you have no other option except to clearly resolve that you support the right of our citizens to continue their peaceful and vibrant exercise of their First Amendment rights as carried out by Occupy San Diego and in over 900 other cities in the country. Your resolution in support of these citizens is critical in assuring a clear directive to law enforcement that these citizens shall not be harassed in any way, that their property shall not be confiscated, that the tents, food, and all belongings that assist them in the continuation of their peaceful exercising of their First Amendment rights must be respected and not threatened. Furthermore, as long as their actions are not threatening to the safety of others or the rights of others, these persons shall not be threatened with arrest, nor shall any harmful assault, such as spraying of pepper spray, be inflicted upon them. No one anticipated the wildfire growth, this national and even worldwide uprising of the working class. Although everyone trying to survive in this economic situation knew there had to be a breaking point. Neither can we predict where the Occupy movement will lead us. I respectfully suggest that this is not the time for our city government to be taking your marching orders from the very people who got us into this mess. Rather, please understand that the people who far outnumber the 1% who think they control everything because they own everything have found their voice and their power, and their voice will continue to crescendo with or without your approval. In the long run, those in government who serve at the will of the voters would be wise to act in the interests of the majority, which, as the Occupy signs proclaim, has reached 99%. My presence before you today is just the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Council President, Council members. Thank you for having me here. Today, we had a historical event happen this past weekend in the United States and here in California. And in San Diego, we want to be the leader of all urban centers. So for this, I want to make a point. This past weekend, the California Medical Association one of the largest medical organizations in the United States, states that they want to legalize marijuana. I have to tell you that marijuana, any drug abuse, is a medical problem and should not be handled by the penal system or by bureaucrats. It should be handled by physicians. And when it's abused, such as the case of Michael Jackson, bottom line is the doctor has to be held accountable, and it's physicians that are experts and pharmacologists that are experts in drug abuse. I wrote 2 months ago in a newspaper, and I've said it publicly, and I'll read it to you. I'd like to see all drugs decriminalized, with treatment and school education on the topic becoming the focus, and that pot dispensaries should be allowed in commercial zones not within 600 feet of a middle or high school. I've been affected economically by what's happened here in our community, tremendously. And my point is that even the definition of a school, if I go to court and I listen to what's happening, a school could be on one area and within 300 feet there's a dispensary, and in between is Interstate 5. And yet the city attorney still says it's breaking the law. So we have to define exactly what a school is. In my instance, the school that they talked about has 32 students, and they're all emotionally disturbed, and they're coming from the San Diego Unified School District called the Asseltine School at 427 Market. And for that reason, the city attorney states you're within 600 feet of a school. But they measure it as if you have to go over buildings, as if the child has to get on a broomstick and go Mary Poppins across to where my dispensary is. It's inappropriate. We have to get a better realization. We have to ask our physicians more about drug abuse, whether it be cocaine, heroin, or prescription pills. It's doctors who know most about it. We've studied it for in my instance, 45 years. So I feel that I want to make the point that the California Medical Association states we should legalize marijuana, and I'm not certain that's correct. I believe in decriminalization. I don't believe that you should be able to sell it. I don't believe unless it's regulated. So I believe that marijuana, all these drugs have to be decriminalized. Marijuana has to be regulated. It has to be taxed. And last point is, it's physicians that are the experts of drug abuse. And if Michael Jackson would have been taking marijuana for his pain and his insomnia, probably would still be alive. Marijuana has never been shown in the history to kill an adult.
Good comments, actually. Thank you very much.
Martin Eder, followed by Michael Vassouras, followed by Patrick Bourne.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm Martin Eder. I'm a resident of property owner here in San Diego. More importantly, spent 20 years in public education system, professor of sociology and education at the graduate level. My title more than anything else is social justice activist, as a member of Activist San Diego Coalition for Peace and Justice, Freedom Road. Different than two other speakers that preceded me, who lauded the police finding their behavior acceptable. I find what happened here, right outside your doorsteps, to be a despicable display of the destruction of the right of free speech.
Hold on, I stopped your time. We're going to try to focus on a topic at a time when it comes to your non-agenda public comment. I'll give you an opportunity to speak on any issue that hasn't already been spoken on before in detail. Okay. And I'll be supportive of your freedom to do that.
I'm here asking that the City Council support an investigation of how and why the police were ordered to do what they do. The Democratic upsurge that of citizenry that represents Occupy San Diego is the very core of the democratic values that we are here to support. But in a handful of cities, including San Diego, the constitutional rights to assembly and to freedom of speech have been squelched for those seeking a redress of grievances. Even in the dictatorships of Tunisia and Egypt, people were allowed to encamp in the streets and in center thing for months at a time. If the United States government says that they can do it there, why isn't it supported here in San Diego? What I would like to propose is the following, that whereas Time magazine says 54% of the American people support the Occupy movement, and whereas 100 cities have not repressed the right to free speech and encampments, and whereas the right to assembly is not constitutionally constrained by time limits, or nor does it prohibit encampments, and where every American student learned that in the 1930s, Hoovervilles were legitimate democratic First Amendment responses to the Great Depression. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Council and Mayor and law authorities respect the rights of Occupy San Diego to peacefully exercise their constitutional freedom of speech and expression by tent encampments or whatever they democratically decide to air their grievances. And be it further resolved, and finally, that the City Council and Mayor open an investigation and a report to the citizens within 2 weeks how and why the police removed tents, pepper sprayed and abused citizens exercising their constitutional rights here in San Diego. Thank you.
You're going to help me out this morning about your comments, aren't you? You can speak on that one if you want. What are you going to talk about today, sir?
I'm talking about education. That's also the reason why I'm standing here today in support of Occupy San Diego. My professor, Mr. Haro, have mentioned that 62% of City College students are under the poverty level. We have time and time again emphasized how important education is for the progression of our society today, but it seems apparent that excessive budget cuts seems to be directly being pointed to education. I just feel like at some point it seems to be very hypocritical to say how important education is, and it seems like there's no priority of regulating those. If we do say that it's important to have education in place, how come there's excessive budget cuts for students? Also, I do want to emphasize the fact that we also say that how important it is to keep job in place. Cutting budget cuts for students, budget cuts for funding for school also cause loss of jobs by letting teachers go and not having any jobs available for them. So if we're trying to create a job, there's not really use of creating a job, it's just maintaining a job, like keeping those jobs in hand in school for teachers. And my proposal for solution is to find a better solution for the teachers and students that are currently attending the school. Because in our economy today, especially when there is a very, very, very difficult time to find a job, they always emphasize that you have to have a master's degree or bachelor's degree to get a job. And I think that it is our responsibility as society in America to enforce this education process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Patrick Gorham, followed by Ray Lutz.
Good morning, sir. What's your topic today?
Good morning, thank you for having me. I'd like to talk about democratic participation.
Is it a topic that has been discussed already?
I'm going to try to keep it off of that.
All right, let's see how you
You can
do.
call me out on it if I'm ever done.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for having me. I just want to let you know that we're living a fascinating experiment in democracy downstairs, and personally, I'm really enjoying it and learning things that surprise me. I can't promise sharing our credibility or popularity, but I think we're at an interesting time now, and people are paying more attention. And I would love to, I'm trying to learn how to participate more, and I'd love to invite you guys are experts and living embodiments of what our democratic system is. I'd love it if you could come down and say hi. We have teaching programs. We have teaching programs, and anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for tolerating us. Come say hi, take a look, and we're all trying to do this better, and we'd love to have some help. Come check it out.
Certainly, it's not us tolerating. We appreciate the fact that you're here today.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And our final speaker, Ray Lutz.
Good morning, sir. You brought your own equipment today.
Yes, thank you very much.
What are you going to speak on today?
My name is Ray Lutz. I'm with
sir.
citizenoversight.org.
What's your topic today?
My topic is about the exact location of where Activist San Diego is being, and so some logistics I'd like to talk to you about because it hasn't been discussed so far.
All right, let's focus on that then.
I believe that the reason I'm here today is because I believe, as I've heard, about 78% of the public agrees that there are concerns about the 1% versus the 99% and the misuse of funds at the federal level, and that's what this protest is about. We're not protesting you. You guys are in the same boat because the budget problem that you have is the same budget problem that everybody else is facing, and it comes down to the same issue. Now, the Occupy San Diego movement has been, I think, pretty cooperative. They didn't go to the Yom Kippur celebration, which was scheduled, and instead went to Children's Park in order to pay respect to that organization and make sure there wasn't a conflict. At the same time, or later, when the dance project, or the dance was being held at Golden Hall, I guess, most of everything was removed voluntarily from the plaza, and yet they still cracked down on the last few tents that were there. Then we were told from the police that we should go to a location in Balboa Park, which is a very dangerous location at the corner of Elm and 6th Street, which is absolutely unsuitable because it is a area for crime. And so it is not an area that is in the center business district either. This Center City Plaza is, Civic Center Plaza is important because of its proximity to the banks and the financial district. It's interesting that Los Angeles allows tents around City Hall. They allow people to encamp there. They have about 300, and they're cooperating with the movement. I ask you guys to put this on the agenda. We want you to talk about it in open. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to know if you support it or you don't support it. Many people support it, and we want to know who that is. If you don't support it and you're one of the 1% that are a part of the problem, we want to know who you are so we can take you out of office. Now, where do we go? Do we stay here and allow tents? Are you going to allow us to have some bathrooms, or would you support some bathroom facilities at Children's Park? There are too few public bathroom facilities in the city. It's a disgrace. There's not enough and it's a 20-ounce size that I take, a bottle. That's what people have to use as a little bottle to urinate in. And that's a disgrace. So please get this on the agenda. We want to know where we need to go. Is it Children's Park? Then we can move there. But please come out, show your face. Don't hide here in this meeting. Let's see you stand on the line